Previously, you were asked to find the perimeter of several rectangles. One of them was a 3x8 rectangle. In this example, we are going to take a look at different ways of finding the area of a 3x8 rectangle. We will start off with this rectangle. We know the properties of rectangles, and one of them is that opposite parallel sides have the same length. Since our rectangle has dimensions 3x8, the two vertical sides are the width, and that would be 3. And the two horizontal sides are the length, which is 8. So this is our 3x8 rectangle. Being that the length of the rectangle is 8, we can divide the length into 8 equal pieces. Being that the width of this rectangle is 3, we would divide our rectangle horizontally into 3 equal parts. If you remember, the area of a rectangle is determined by the number of unit squares that fit into this rectangle. Because we have divided our rectangle up equally, we can simply count the number of squares that fit into this rectangle to determine the area. So counting the squares, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So there are 24 unit squares that fit into this rectangle, which means the area of this rectangle is 24 square units. So this is the first method of determining the area. It is to simply count the number of unit squares that fit into this rectangle. For the second method, we will be focusing on the same 3x8 rectangle. I can actually take this rectangle and break it up into smaller rectangles. Every horizontal row that we have gives us a smaller rectangle. So we have 1, 2, 3 smaller rectangles that fit within this larger rectangle. So we're going to focus on these smaller rectangles for this next part. Each of these 3 rectangles has dimensions 1 by 8. If we want to determine the area of each of these rectangles, we simply count the number of unit squares that fit in the rectangle. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 unit squares that fit into the rectangle, and all 3 of these rectangles are the same, so their area is 8 square units. The larger rectangle on the left is composed of 3 smaller rectangles, each of which have an area of 8 square units. We want to determine the area of the larger rectangle. So we have 3 of the smaller rectangles which had an area of 8 square units. So the area of the larger rectangle is 3 times 8 because we have 3 times the 8 square unit rectangles. So multiplying the 3 and the 8, we get a total area of 24 square units for this larger rectangle. Now that's the same answer we had from the previous method. If we look at the area equals 3 times 8, 3 and 8 are familiar numbers. 8 is the length of the rectangle, and 3 is the width of the rectangle. So really, the area of a rectangle is the length times the width. But area equals length times width is the formula for the area of a rectangle. The formula is written as A equals L times W, where the A stands for area, L stands for length, and W stands for width. So the third method for finding the area of a rectangle is to use the formula. In this video, we determined the area of a rectangle using the following three methods. Method 1 was to count the number of unit squares that fit in the rectangle. We did this by equally dividing up the length and the width of the rectangle. Method 2 was to recognize that a rectangle is made up of multiple smaller rectangles that are 1 unit wide. In our case, the smaller rectangles had dimension 1 by 8. And method 3 is to use the area formula for a rectangle. A equals L times W, where A is for area, L is for length, and W is for width. So the formula is area equals length times width. Go ahead and give it a try.